Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Monmouth County. My name is Sari, and I serve as the chair of the Family Ministry Committee. Whomever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. Our mission is to create community, transform ourselves, and transform the world. I draw your attention to the back of the orders of service for announcements and service information for next week. For those on the live stream and for video viewers, the orders of service link is available to you in the YouTube service description box. I now joyfully ask Jane and Rich to come on up to share something interesting.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jane Reskoff.
And my name is Rich Held. And Jane and I are here representing the Committee on Congregational Ministry, more commonly known as COCOM. And today, on a Volunteer Recognition Sunday, we're going to recognize somebody who we are calling Volunteer Extraordinaire. Judy Stevens. Save it, save it. You got to listen to see why we said her name. Judy Stevens, a lifelong Unitarian Universalist, has served the UUCMC in far too many ways to list here. However, having said that, Judy has been council moderator at least twice, chair of the Rainbow Coalition, and more recently, chair of COCOM. And while just about every other volunteer position that's available here at the UUCMC. You get the picture. Now, she neither expects or seeks praise because she considers all that she does here for the congregation, whether it be trivial or grand, to be the right thing to do. In other words, although most volunteers, or many volunteers I should say, myself included, wait to be asked before I say yes, Judy seemingly is keenly aware of what needs to be done and very quietly does it. Jane?
I'd like to share a short anecdote with you. A while back, after a snowstorm, there was a postage stamp-sized ice patch out in the front, which my husband managed to find. It was this big. And of course, he slipped on it and went down. He had a little bleeding from a small cut on his forehead. Once Judy knew he was being tended to, she immediately searched out cleaning products to scrub what was surely going to be a stain on our walkway. She was doing her Lady Macbeth moment. Out, damn spot, out I say. That is Judy in a nutshell. Always counted on to fix anything and everything in a flash, without being asked. So we take this opportunity to thank Judy for her commitment to the well-being of our congregation as a volunteer extraordinaire, not just for the month, but for the entire lifespan of our beloved community. Thanks, Judy, from all of us.
And finally, please join us immediately after the service in the community room for Build Your Own Ice Cream Sunday Social. It is one of the ways that we recognize and show our appreciation for volunteerism here at the UUCMC. And the treat is from COCOM. Now I joyfully return the podium to
Joyfully, thank you.
Sarah.
very joyful.
Oh, purpose.
See, there was lots of joy. Thank you. Shout out to Judy. Thank you, Judy. No, she says no. Okay. If you are new to us, please do visit our website, UUCMC.org, where you can sign up to get all the latest news of the congregation by email. We look forward to getting to know you better. Please put your devices on silent as we enter into worship together. Welcome again to this place of love and hope.
I'd like to give a shout out to Betsy and Craig Sunada, who were in theory going to be doing the music with us today, but are at home ill with COVID, but I think they're on the mend. So we wish them the best.
Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say, it's all right. Little darling, the smiles are turning to their faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say, it's all right. Sun, 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 here it comes. 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 Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say, it's all right.
I'm the Reverend Dr. Craig Rubano, and I'm glad you're here with us today. Here in the Earth Room, here on the live stream, here whenever you choose to participate with what we do here, which, as you heard from our welcoming words, is centered around creating community. Today, on this final Sunday of April, in which our theme has been interdependence, and heading into May, when our theme will be pluralism, we will talk about how it requires us all, in multiple ways, to be UUCMC in each of our lives, to be UUCMC in the world, to be UUCMC for every visitor that comes through our doors and meets us for the first time and wonders, can I be a part of this community? Or a better question, is this community interested in having me join in its and my becoming? We spent a lot of time in March talking about the fact that we not only constitute this place, we own it. Our treasure, our money is needed, literally required to turn on the lights and employ a small staff to run a few parts of the whole. But it takes more than money to make UUCMC run. It takes our talents and our time as well. We are essentially at the core a volunteer organization. We honored one volunteer during the welcome, but we depend, frankly, too much on a handful of super volunteers. We need to recapture our volunteer spirit. Following the pandemic, when many of us got in the habit of not showing up, not serving on committees, not helping to fix the building, not helping to spruce the grounds. No one's paid to do any of those things. Nor really should they be. Because to be a true community, a congregation needs to capture the communion at community's heart. Communion, when the we becomes one. So important is that concept that we will both begin and end the service with words celebrating our oneness. Our call to worship, with worship valued in its original definition of a shaping concern for all that is of worth, comes to us from the Reverend Carol Thomas Sissel, currently the Minister of Social Justice and Community Development at the UU Church of Arlington, Virginia. We are one. We are family. We are connected by blood and bone, mind and heart, and sometimes brick and mortar. Like the finest woven tapestries of old, and the spices blended and stirred into our family's secret recipes, our lives are intentionally intertwined. And we are fashioned into a stronger community by those connections. This interlacing, intertwining, and intermingling of our existence makes each of us whole. This interlacing of our lives makes us whole, happiness and sorrow. This intertwining of our lives makes us whole, blessings and burden. This intermingling of our lives makes us whole, lament and laughter. May we allow the magic and mystery, often named Spirit, to keep us connected long after today's service has ended. Come, let us worship together. As many of you know, every week we light a flame in a chalice to signify the sacred space created every time we gather. Today, I want to talk a little bit about sabbatical. A sabbatical is a very old concept that relates to a period of rest. A sabbatical is a release from the routine of the call, of the job, in order to center the physical, emotional, spiritual, and intellectual well-being of the person. UUCMC allows its minister and its director of family ministry to accrue months of sabbatical during years of service. Sabbatical is a very special and important time, a period with full pay, along with some professional expense funds, in order that the religious professional might enter a period not of vacation, but of working differently, a time for study, contemplation, and integration, an opportunity for renewal and for personal and professional growth. The sabbatical period also offers the congregation a time of changed perspective. It is a chance to try out new ideas, to develop lay leadership and shared ministry, to deepen congregational involvement, and to re-examine needs and expectation. I invite, therefore, Michelle Mackenzie Creech, our credentialed director of family ministry, to light our chalice this morning as she enters a 3-month period of sabbatical beginning on Wednesday. Don't miss, by the way, the potluck dinner send-off Tuesday evening in the community room. Here's what some UU ministerial professionals have said about a sabbatical. It's an offering of time and energy. It takes you by the shoulders, breathes, and looks you in the eyes and says sternly and lovingly, "I want you to slow down." A sabbatical also asks the rest of us to look at one another in the eyes and say, this congregation is ours. It always has, always will be. And sometimes the gift of a religious professional stepping outside of the system for a bit is that we all come to discover that the work of the congregation has always been ours to do and make real. That we come to know the joy in realizing that UUCMC's magic exists outside of any one staff person. So these next months, let's pay attention. What feels the same? What feels different? Let's get curious about the why of things. And let's try showing up and serving in different ways. This sabbatical is our chance to deepen our spiritual paths, our commitment to this community, our volunteer spirit. So thank you, Michelle, for setting us all off on a mission to rediscover the communion at the heart of congregational community. It requires all of us working together, volunteering our talents and time to bring UUCMC alive. May it be so. Have a beautiful sabbatical, Michelle. All right. I invite us to rise in body and/or spirit to sing our opening hymn. The words are simple. You know them, but they'll be on the screens too. There's a river flowing in my soul.
There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart.
The next, today, instead of having Michelle read us a story, we're going to sing a story, but it is a participative event in that this song, which is always one of my favorite ones, and also one that kids always enjoy, and I see we have children of all ages here today. It's about a marvelous toy. And the chorus, which is up there, I'm going to ask everybody to practice with me once. And first we're going to start with the 3 sounds you have to make. So repeat after me. Zip. Zip. Pop. Pop. This is the hard one. Okay. So let's see if we can sing along with the chorus here. On here. Let's make sure. There we go. It went zip when it moved, and pop when it stopped, when it stood still. I never knew just what it was, and I guess I never will. When I was just a wee little lad, full of health and joy, my father homeward came one night, and he brought to me a toy. A wonder to behold it was, with many colors bright. And the moment I laid eyes on it, it became my heart's delight. 'Cause it went zip when it moved, and pop when it stopped, when it stood still. I never knew just what it was, and I guess I never will.
like big green eyes. I first pushed one and then the other, and then I twisted its lid. And when I set it down again, here is what it did.
It went zip when it moved, and pop when it stopped, and whir when it stood still. I never knew just what it was, and I guess I never will.
It first marched left and then marched right and then marched under a chair. And when I looked where it had gone, it wasn't even there. I started to cry, but my daddy laughed, 'cause he knew that I would find. When I turned around, my marvelous toy would be chugging right up behind. It went zip when it moved, and pop when it stopped, and brrr when it stood still. I never knew just what it was, and I guess I never will.
The years have gone by too swiftly, it seems now. I have my own little boy, and yesterday I gave to him my marvelous little toy. His eyes nearly popped right out of his head, and he gave a squeal of glee. Neither one of us knows just what it is, but he loves it just like me. It still goes zip when it moves, and pop when it stops, when it stood still. I never knew just what it was, and I guess I never will.
Let's bless our young people as they head to their small group learning, singing Go Now in Peace. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
It's the time for generosity. Every week in this congregation, we are provided with an opportunity to practice generosity. This is your invitation to contribute to the well-being of our congregation and to our social justice partners through the good works of organizations which receive half of the monies collected each month. Our Share the Plate recipient for the month of April is UUMFE, which is the UU Ministry for Earth, representing the UU Climate Justice Movement. UUMFE helps us all to reconnect with Earth and with the natural world, psychologically, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, offering many resources, including a newsletter, Monthly Musing. See uumfe.org for more information. For those of you present here in the meeting house, the plates will be passed by the ushers. You may also join this time of generosity via text, send your offering by mail, or charge your contribution online with a memo designating an amount to UU Ministry for Earth. Please give generously.
If I had wings, no one would ask me, should I fly? The bird sings, no one asks why. I can't see myself, wings as I feel them. If you see something else, keep your thoughts to yourself, I'll fly free then. Yesterday's eyes see their colors fading away. They see their sun turn into gray. You can't share in a dream you don't believe in. If you say that you see and pretend to be me, you won't be there. How can you ask if I'm happy going my way?
Might as well ask a child at play. There's no need to discuss or understand me. I won't ask myself to become something else, I'll just be me. If I had wings, no one would ask me, should I fly? The bird sings, no one asks why. I can see myself, wings as I feel them. If you see something else, keep your thoughts to yourself. I'll fly free.
On this Sunday, when we prioritize our volunteer efforts, our giving of ourselves, I offer a reading from Lebanese-American author Khalil Gibran. Then said a rich man, "Speak to us of giving." And they answered, "You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. For what are your possessions but things you keep and guard, for fear you may need them tomorrow? And tomorrow, what shall tomorrow bring to the overprudent dog burying bones in the trackless sand as he follows the pilgrims to the holy city? And what is fear of need but need itself? Is not dread of thirst when your well is full the thirst that is unquenchable? It is well to give when asked, but it is better to give unasked through understanding. And to the open-handed, the search for one who shall receive is joy greater than giving. Is there aught, anything at all, you would withhold? All you have shall someday be given. Therefore, give now, that the season of giving may be yours and not your inheritors.
Kind friends all gathered round, there's something I would say, that what brings us together here has blessed us all today. Love has made a circle that holds us all inside, where strangers are as family and loneliness can't hide. You must give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your hearts to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
I've
I've walked these mountains in the rain. I've learned to love the wind. I've been up before the sunrise to watch the day begin.
I always knew I'd find you, though I never did know how. But like sunshine on a cloudy day, you stand before me now. You must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Love is born in fire. It's planted like a seed. Love can't give you everything, but it gives you what you need. Love comes when you're ready.
Love comes when you're afraid.
It will be your greatest teacher, the best friend you have made. You must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. You must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
In an often quoted telegram Groucho Marx sent to the Friars Club of Beverly Hills, the comedian wrote, "Please accept my resignation. Stop. I don't want to belong to any club that will accept people like me. Full stop." The telegram captures the tension that lurks at the heart of any community like ours. Are we capable of creating an environment in which someone can be and become uniquely themselves? If so, I guess we can eliminate Groucho Marx's application. On a more serious note, Groucho's line helps us to distinguish between things like a society or a club, which exist as gatherings for specifically demarcated purposes or to provide status enhancement, and something like a congregation, which in its radical volunteerism is able somehow to transcend the definition of a club, providing something more akin to a home, a place of essential meaning-making. When I worked at the Princeton congregation, the tagline that ran on my monthly youth group column read, "Youth group is more than just a group of youth." What allows a group of high schoolers to create a community in which they often say they are more able to be themselves, unfettered by social expectation or peer-driven mores, than in any other environment to which they have access? How is a congregation more than just a group of people that meets regularly for Sunday services? Psychoanalyst, pastoral theologian, and personal friend Ryan Monmouth wrote a book called Missing Us, revisioning psychoanalysis from the perspective of community. It's a highly theoretical text that I don't recommend as easy reading, but it helps me. For while Monmouth wants to push against the individualistic brand of selfhood that he sees at the core of the psychoanalytic project, especially as it developed in the context of the United States with its notions of individual freedom, those notions that also inform our ideas of Unitarian Universalist congregation with independent polity and governance. Monmouth wants to emphasize that the self, in an essential way, is a derivation from necessarily prior community. That personhood is not a given in the existence of a human being, but rather the result of an individual's participation in community. He locates the initial requirements for the emergence of the self in early child development, embedded as they are in parental attachment and attunement. But those in turn make possible the later necessary conditions for self-flourishing in voluntary communities like ours. So I consult his work from time to time because Monmouth identifies 4 qualities without which community is not truly possible, without which a group cannot find the communion at the heart of community. He also singles out the required absence of a 5th quality. The word communion, embedded in the word community, it comes from the Latin, communio, which means mutual participation, a shared impulse to communicate. For any form of community to exist, therefore, there has to be mutuality. There has to be an other. Otherness is constitutive of community. Indeed, Monmouth's first necessity for community is mutual participation. While in March we focused on the financial support required for this interdependent community to exist, our physical participation is also needed. Our talents need to be tapped, and our time freely given. A congregation, especially one like ours, which is owned by its members and friends, requires participation. To the degree that true communion would be created at the heart of this community, all of us would be involved in some way. For to create a synergistic congregation, an entity larger than the sum of its parts, we need to be ourselves with one another. The desired experience of community, then, begins to emerge as involving the pleasure of being with. The existence of being with pleasure is the second quality Monmouth identifies as central to psychologically sound communion. For us to be the we long to forge, a beloved community, we all need to participate and want to do so. As we heard in the reading from Gibran, it is when you give of yourself that you truly give. Not that this community doesn't require material support of various kinds, but the communion at the heart of community is gained through a volunteerism that understands our essential interdependence. Our spirituality, that which feeds us in ways beyond the material, is nourished through our giving to others different from ourselves. For third, according to Monmouth, communion requires the recognition and treatment of the other as other. This is the crux of our community. For if it is to be truly communal, each one of us must be themselves. Communion requires that each recognize others as a separate and whole beings, different one from the other. This third quality is really important because mutual participation and even being with pleasure can exist in the absence of mutual recognition of the other as other. Without the mutual recognition of difference, you cannot know what it is to be you in my presence, nor can I know what it is to be me in yours. Only by acknowledging one another as other, different, can we each begin to emerge as persons ourselves. Personhood derives from communion. Monmouth writes that there has to be a fourth quality for community to happen, and that's trust. We come together for Sunday services or for other activities during the week or for missions in our worlds. And often we enjoy being with another's presence, having committed to mutual participation. Yet it is when we intentionally recognize one another as other that we truly become a congregational community capable of enacting communion. Like youth group being more than a group of youth, we become more than an assembly. For that to happen, we need to covenant with one another, and that takes trust. There is a fifth quality that, when present, can lead to what Monmouth refers to as pseudo-community. This happens when the mutual participation, the mutual personal recognition, the pleasure of being with, and the trust are contingent upon the existence of a demeaned other. There cannot be a devalued them for true community to exist. When that happens, for whatever reason, religious tradition, political affiliation, racial identity, a bond of pseudo-communion results, dependent on the exclusion of someone or someones among us. Exceptionalism, whether national, familial, or religious, may well screen or assuage anxieties associated with vulnerabilities related to change, loss, and alienation. Yet congregations or denominations or religious faiths that are predicated upon the devaluation of others perpetuate an existential falsehood that we are superior to them. The kinds of cooperation and shared vision that can emerge when a religious body succumbs to the seductions of orthodoxy or orthopraxis or worse, ostracism and violence make a mockery of the sacred communion available at the heart of true community. That danger exists no matter how open a community sees itself or professes itself to be. Monmouth writes that community is not the solace of sameness, not about thinking and believing and valuing the same thing. A viable community embraces difference, which enriches life and does not lessen the motivation to live a life in common. Monmouth is very clear in his exposition that there is no such thing as a perfect, an ideal community. There are only faithful approximations of them. Communities can only exist through space and time with constant and intentional processes of repair and recovenanting. That sounds like work, and it is. Communion takes work. In fact, without the resistance of others to communion in the community, there can be no emergence of authentic communal selves. For a self is always first a self in relation. A resistance-free relationship doesn't provide the need for action. And knowledge, for Monmouth, emerges, is subordinate to, and is contingent upon action, contingent upon our giving. Not merely giving of our treasure, but giving of ourselves. As Sarah and David and Liz sang, give yourself to love if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and the laughter, and give yourself to love. Earlier, when I sent Michelle off to her sabbatical, I reminded us that these months are also a time for us to think about things differently and to ask ourselves, how can I give of myself in new ways? I urge us all to think carefully about how we might invest ourselves in this beautiful project of community. Don't wait for someone to call you. Seek out ways to give yourself to the communion in our midst. UUCMC can only grow, can only thrive, can only change and respond to change when all of us, all of the individual me's that form the larger us, give of themselves, give of ourselves. May we be just exactly that kind of community to which Groucho Marx would turn up his nose. Because to the question, is this community interested in having me join in its and my becoming? Our answer needs always to be yes. 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 Community is achieved through trust and continually maintained through intentionally extending ourselves to those other than us. The encumbrances of communion are freely chosen. Together, we form a network, we form a fabric of participation, of being with pleasure, of recognition, of trust, of communion. We lift one another up as a community so that each of us gains a view unavailable but for our collective presence, our communion. We give of ourselves, and what we create sustains us. Community is forged with our lives and gives each of us life in return. All we have shall someday be given. Therefore, let us give now, that the season of giving may be ours. May it be so. I invite us now into a time of prayer and meditation with words of interdependence from UU minister, the Reverend Lynn Cox, a prayer of co-creation. Let's just breathe. Creative Spirit, source of life and love, we give thanks for the beauty of this day and for the company of those assembled here. Thank you for the breezes of change, clearing our heads, bringing fresh ideas. May they cleanse our minds of the oppressions and isms that divide us. Thank you for the flame of hope, the heat of righteous anger, the warmth of compassion, the fire of commitment. May they bubble the cauldrons of transformation. Thank you for oceans of love, rivers of connection, tears of relief, pools of serenity. May healing waters flow over us and through us and among us, wearing down the sharp rocks of despair to bring joy in the morning. Thank you for the good earth beneath us, around us, and within us. May we take this clay and co-create a new realm of justice and beauty. Thank you for all these and more. We accept our gifts and commit to building, sculpting, painting, singing, and dancing them to life, to abundant life. So be it. Amen.
The version of For the Beauty of the Earth, and I think they're going to put it up on the screen. Okay. Is some of the words are similar to hymn 21 in the hymnal, but this is Jim Scott's version. Jim has been a performer here for years and years and years, and I feel very fortunate. I actually got to play guitar once with him up here, and just an amazing singer-songwriter. So we're going to sing the first verse to give you a feeling for what the different melody is than number 21 in the hymnal, and then you'll sing verses 2, 3, and 4 with us.
For the beauty of the earth, sing, oh sing today, of the sky and of our birth, sing, oh sing. For the joy of here and now, for our heart's delight, for our mystic harmony, bringing sound and sight. Nature, human and divine, all around us lies. Source of all to thee we raise, grateful hymns of praise. For the wonder of each hour of the day and night, hill and dale, tree and flower, sun, moon, stars of light. Nature, human and divine, all around us lies. Source of all to thee we raise, grateful hymns of praise. For the beauty of the earth, sing, oh sing today. Of the sky and of our birth, sing, oh sing always. Nature, human and divine, all around us lies. Source of all to thee we raise, grateful hymns of praise.
I want to give my thanks to David and Sarah Fischel for being flexible when Betsy and Craig couldn't be with us, and for Liz Tortorella for picking up the phone and agreeing to come and keep us company. Thank you so much for the music this morning. Our closing words of benediction come to us from the Reverend Karen Anderson, interim minister at First UU Brewster, Maine. Its title is the same as our call to worship this morning, We Are One. And this one invokes that chorus of spring that greets me every evening in the woods where I live. Maybe they greet you as well. Perhaps if I could pull my senses back to the scraping squeak of the window opening that welcomes the pasture's chorus of peepers into my room, whose resonant tones glide over my bedsheet and mental haze, perhaps I'd remember to listen to my amphibian friend's primordial call. We are one. We are one. We are one. Perhaps if I could be really still and lay my body on the syrupy mud along the creek behind the wood, I could hear the ferns unfurl in unison and the roots of the poplar stretch toward the spring, and I'd remember that the universe sings a song to us each minute of every hour, of every day, of every year. We are one. We are one. We are one. Perhaps if I made it a priority to listen to that siren song, I'd ask the right questions and make the right statements and return to the communion of creatures of which I am a part. The truth is, we make this planet about us and only us. And when we do, the earth calls our separate selves back, singing, ask yourself, you beautiful, thoughtful, gorgeous species, how much of the planet are you really entitled to? How much of the planet are you really entitled to? And with the peepers and the ferns and the roots, I would respond, we are one, we are one, we are one. Let us go in peace to bless the world.